In today's video, we're diving into 28 unknown facts about World War I and II that 99% of people don't know. Get ready to uncover incredible stories, hidden secrets. Writers like J.R.R. Tolkien, Wilfred Owen, and Ernest Hemingway served during World War I. Their wartime experiences profoundly impacted their work, with Tolkien incorporating his traumatic experiences into The Lord of the Rings and Wilfred Owen's poetry reflecting the harsh realities of trench warfare. To mislead German forces, the Allies created a fake army under General George Patton. Known as Operation Fortitude, inflatable tanks, wooden airplanes, and fake radio traffic were used to deceive the Germans into believing a massive invasion would occur at Pas-de-Calais rather than Normandy. This deception contributed significantly to the success of D-Day. The devastation of World War I gave rise to the term lost generation, referring to the young men who lost their lives or futures in the trenches. This term was popularized by writers like Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald, who depicted the disillusionment of a generation scarred by war's brutality. In 1944, a battalion of American soldiers was surrounded by German forces in France's Vosges Mountains. The U.S. Army's 442nd Regimental Combat Team, composed mostly of Japanese-American soldiers, was sent to rescue them. Despite suffering heavy casualties, the 442nd succeeded, displaying immense bravery and loyalty amidst prejudice back home. British soldiers at the Battle of Mons reported seeing angelic beings protecting them from German forces. Known as the Angels of Mons, the event boosted morale among troops. Although widely regarded as a wartime myth, the story spread rapidly and became one of the most famous legends of the Great War. The British Royal Air Force conducted Operation Chastise to destroy German dams using bouncing bombs. Specially designed to skip across water, these bombs caused massive flooding in industrial areas, disrupting German war production. The daring raid, led by the RAF's 617 Squadron. With the advent of blood transfusion techniques, World War I saw the establishment of the first blood banks. Dr. Oswald Hope Robertson set up a mobile blood bank for the British forces in 1917, using sodium citrate to preserve blood. This innovation saved countless lives and laid the groundwork for modern blood storage and transfusion practices. German forces used the Enigma machine to encrypt communications, making their plans nearly impossible to decipher. British mathematician Alan Turing and his team at Bletchley Park eventually cracked the code. The intelligence gained from Enigma, codenamed Ultra, was instrumental in several Allied victories and significantly shortened the war. With men off to fight, women filled factory jobs, producing ammunition and military supplies. This shift not only aided the war effort but also began changing societal views on women in the workforce. The war set the stage for women's suffrage movements, as their contributions became undeniable. Japanese kamikaze pilots volunteered to crash their planes into Allied ships in suicide missions. They were seen as the embodiment of Japanese honor and sacrifice, although the missions had mixed success. Kamikaze attacks caused significant damage and loss of life, intensifying the Pacific conflict as Japan resorted to extreme tactics. Both sides in World War I used propaganda extensively to boost morale and demonize the enemy. Posters, newspapers, and films encouraged enlistment and reinforced hatred toward the opposing side. Propaganda was so powerful that it continued to influence public perceptions long after the war ended, marking the rise of mass media in shaping opinion. The Manhattan Project was a secret U.S. research initiative to develop an atomic bomb. Thousands of scientists worked on it in locations across the country. The project culminated in the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender. The bomb's destructive power changed the nature of warfare permanently. Mustard gas was introduced as a chemical weapon by the Germans in 1917, causing severe injuries and death. Exposure led to blisters, blindness, and respiratory damage. The horror of chemical warfare during World War I prompted post-war efforts to ban such weapons, although gas warfare was used in conflicts afterward. The German army besieged the Soviet city of Leningrad for nearly 900 days. Starvation, disease, and constant shelling led to the death of over 1 million civilians. Despite immense hardship, the Soviet citizens and Red Army soldiers defended the city, making the siege one of the most brutal and tragic events of the war. The Harlem Hellfighters were an African-American regiment from the U.S. that fought with distinction in France. Despite facing discrimination at home, they spent more time in combat than any other American unit. Their courage and success on the battlefield helped pave the way for civil rights advancements in the post-war era. The U.S. military formed a special unit, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, known as the Ghost Army. Using inflatable tanks, fake radio transmissions, and sound effects, they deceived German forces, creating illusions of large-scale troop movements. This unique tactic saved countless lives and contributed to Allied successes in Europe. The Ottoman Empire sided with the Central Powers, marking the beginning of its decline. The Gallipoli campaign, where Allied forces aimed to take control of the Dardanelles, was a disaster for the Allies but became a defining moment in Turkish history. This campaign boosted Mustafa Kemal Ataturk's prominence, leading to Turkey's independence after the war. The U.S. Marines enlisted Navajo code talkers to use their language for secure communications. Since Navajo is a complex language, Japanese forces couldn't break the code, giving U.S. forces a significant advantage. These code talkers played a crucial role in securing victories across the Pacific, particularly at Iwo Jima. Tanks made their combat debut at the Battle of the Somme in 1916. British forces used these heavily armored vehicles to cross trenches and barbed wire, but early models were slow and unreliable. Nonetheless, the psychological impact on German soldiers was significant, marking a new era in mechanized warfare. The German Luftwaffe attempted to destroy British morale through relentless bombings. However, the Royal Air Force, aided by radar technology, managed to hold them off. This victory prevented a German invasion of Britain and marked the first major defeat of Hitler's forces, bolstering Allied confidence and determination. Animals played a crucial role in World War I. Horses, dogs, and even elephants were used for transportation, carrying supplies, and communicating. Dogs also helped detect enemy soldiers and carried medical supplies. These animals endured brutal conditions, and many lost their lives, yet their contributions were vital to both sides. The Soviet Union trained dogs to carry explosives and run under German tanks, where the bombs would detonate. While controversial and ethically questionable, the program had some success. However, it also backfired when some dogs returned to Soviet lines, causing unintended explosions. Carrier pigeons were used extensively to relay messages across battle lines. One pigeon, named Cher Ami, is famous for saving nearly 200 American soldiers after being wounded. Cher Army flew 25 miles in 25 minutes despite injuries, delivering a message that prevented friendly artillery fire on trapped soldiers. The bird was awarded the French Croix de Guerre for bravery. Hiro Onoda was a Japanese soldier who continued fighting on a Philippine island for 29 years after World War II ended, refusing to believe the war was over. He only surrendered in 1974, after his former commanding officer traveled there to relieve him of duty. His story is a testament to loyalty, persistence, and the enduring impact of wartime propaganda. On Christmas Eve, British and German soldiers along the Western Front unofficially ceased hostilities. They sang carols, exchanged small gifts, and even played soccer together in no man's land. This spontaneous ceasefire provided a brief reprieve from the horrors of trench warfare, highlighting the humanity shared by soldiers on both sides. The truce, however, was discouraged in subsequent years. The sinking of the German ship Wilhelm Gustloff is one of history's deadliest maritime disasters. In 1945, Soviet submarines attacked the ship carrying over 10,000 people, mostly German civilians fleeing from the advancing Red Army. Over 9,000 people lost their lives, making it a more tragic event than the Titanic sinking, yet it remains relatively unknown. In 30 Unknown Facts about World War I and II that 99% of people don't know, we explored stories that went beyond the pages of history books, unforgettable moments of bravery, clever wartime strategies, and powerful sacrifices that have shaped our world. If these hidden details and surprising facts brought a new perspective to these world-shaping events, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Vanguard 12 Minutes for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries and untold stories. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to see you in our next adventure.